Hey fans and subscribers, this is your host Joe on the Gaming for Insight channel with you for another video of Quick Chat. The topic, the Claw 8 AI Plus, a better or worse Intel gaming handheld for you. With me is returning guest Game Tech Talk. Game Tech Talk, welcome to Quick Chat.
Hi, thank you for having me for a second time.
Both of us have gone hands-on with the Claw 8 AI Plus with the Lunar Lake Intel Core Ultra 7 processor 258V. And there was some hype surrounding this handheld here in 2025. And when we were last on the Handhelds United podcast, we talked about our experience with it. Mine has been a positive one. Yours has not been so much a positive one. And you actually ended up returning yours. So wanted to give an opportunity for fans and subscribers to listen to both points of view. So let me start with the first question. You initially bought the Claw 8 AI Plus. What initially captivated you to buy it? And when you went hands-on with it, what changed for you and what changed for your initial feelings?
So the thing that captivated me is I originally bought the first iteration, the MSI Claw 7, and I literally took it out of the box, and when I held it, I packed it back up and never powered it. Because for me, the ergonomics and feel was just it was just not right for me personally. And when I saw the Claw 8, I thought, you know what, maybe it's an opportunity for me to give MSI a second chance and see what changed, what improved. And immediately as I took it out of the box, it was vastly, greatly improved upon the ergonomics, the feel, the buttons, just it felt more quality. So that's at least credit I got to give them. And that's what captured my attention in the first place. And I just wanted to experience it and see what had improved.
Yeah, and in my experience, I can relate to that too. I was at CES, it was on display at the MSI booth. I saw it, I held it. I really liked the weight distribution of it, and that full HD 1200p display with Sonic playing, that immediately captivated me. And I said, I want to try this for myself and play my favorite games on it. Do you still prefer gaming on an AMD handheld over the Lunar Lake APU on the Claw 8 AI Plus?
Absolutely, without a doubt, undoubtedly. Now, let's make something very clear. It's not so much that the Intel performance is unacceptable. I think there's a wide range of games that you can play to ultimately find something that will easily match the performance of the device. However, and I'm going to bring this analogy to try to make sense of it. To me, buying into the Intel APU is sort of like buying 1 pound of cake and knowing that I could have bought 2 pounds of the exact same cake, exact same taste, just as great for potentially less and potentially a better tasting cake. So that's kind of like where, to me, the compromise just undermines the entire experience, because you have to sacrifice performance not for the same price point. You are paying substantially more. And this is what ultimately made it so hard for me to digest.
That's a great point. And I'm in agreement with you here, because in my experience with it, it's not more robust or as robust as gaming on an AMD handheld, but I have found a way to make it work. And this is going back to your analogy where I can make some compromises, use AI engine mode with it, and I can make the most of the 80-watt-hour battery. But is it a much more improved, better experience than the Meteor Lake APU on the original Claw? Absolutely.
100%.
And I think it would make a nice addition to a collection, but it would not be the go-to number one in the collection if it's surrounded by AMD handhelds. At least that's my opinion and take on my experience with it. Let's transition. Let's talk about the console software, because we talked about that a little bit too on the Handhelds United podcast.
Yep.
And your experience with the MSI Center, specifically MSI console or MSI Center M, was your experience positive, negative, mixed perhaps in using it? And did you use the AI engine mode at all with it?
I have. I would say it's mixed, because what MSI is proposing, at least on paper, so to speak, is very interesting. I think there's value there. There's an idea. There's a concept that we can feel is taking shape. However, we are not there yet. Like, we are nowhere near the finish line of the software experience on the MSI. And for anyone wanting to go through the journey, which may never come to a finish line, well, I can understand. For me, I think the experience, whether it be that it was laggy, it was unresponsive, or it was just too limiting also, especially as a power user, the interface, while yes, simple to utilize in some cases, was ultimately limiting when you know what you're doing and you know what you're trying to get out of this device. So that's why for me, there was another clash that made it difficult in the end.
Yeah, I can agree with that too, where the AI engine mode, it delivered more for this APU than the previous one, where I would see that the AI engine mode, it had a preference to stay between 18 and 25, but I didn't see, like with playing Avowed, for example, I didn't see AI engine mode come to the conclusion, okay, more higher wattage for the TDP is needed here to push a playable frame rate, and instead wanted to revert back where I would need to transition to that manual 30. Let's talk about some features on the Claw 8 that maybe you don't see on other gaming handhelds, especially in 2025. Were there any, or was it just a plain experience for you overall with the Claw 8?
Well, there were one that I wouldn't say we don't see anywhere else, but I do believe it deserves a mention, which is indeed the phenomenal quality audio. With that said, it kind of stands out because there's only a handful of things that you can really praise to the highest degree, and I'm not trying to like throw the client under the bus, but it kind of feels like that. So the audio was amazing, but one feature that I thought was clever that I have not seen on any other PC handhelds, at least as far as I can remember, is the utilization of the RGB to address certain things in the operation of the device. For example, the mode that you're on is a thing that you can do with the RGB. I believe green was gamepad and red was desktop mode. I can't remember exactly what the colors were, but that's something I thought was clever, and a utilization of a tool that can not only be fancy and good looking, but also have intention behind it. I thought that was a cool touch.
I think there's some great potential with MSI Center M and even building profiles as well for each of the games to be able to switch lighting and TDP even. So I think MSI can do more there. Let's wrap up and talk about, with as far as 2025 gaming handhelds, is there a future for the Claw 8 based on your experience, or in another iteration of the Claw, if not the Claw 8?
At this point in time, in the current shape and form and the price point that it's asking, I would say no. I would be very interested to seeing updated reviews from creators where, that 6 months in kind of review, what they have to say at that point in time. Because right now I just feel like, considering the price point, it's too much for too little benefits. It has the 8-inch, it has the 80 watt hour battery. It is overall a good panel and good audio, but performance is dragging at least me down in the experience too far in that I can't see it as a top contender personally.
Well, Game Tech Talk, we will have to leave it at that for right now. Game Tech Talk, thanks for joining Quick Chat. Take care.